The Orlando Magic's win on Saturday is what we like to call a professional win, which means there isn't much to say about it, which is actually the thing to say about it today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is November 24th, 2024. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic take care of business against the Detroit Pistons, and there is not much to say about the game, which actually speaks volumes about the team. I'll explain coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic an even bigger part of your day now, too, with the Locked On Magic Daily newsletter. It's the one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com or by scanning the QR code in the bottom if you're watching on YouTube. That's LockedOnDaily.com and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic newsletter. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. We're going to get a lot of these games. There's 82 of these things. Not all of them are going to be memorable. We're not going to have like one thing that we could point to at the end of the season like, oh, that was a really good game. You remember that game back in November, that game back in January, whenever it is. 82 games is a lot. They all blend together at a certain point, and there are some that get lost to history and lost to memory. We write about them. There's a record of them. It's not like they didn't happen, but this game against a Detroit Pistons team without Cade Cunningham is one of those games. A game where the Magic very much felt like they could out-talent the Pistons. They could just do I don't want to say the bare minimum because that's probably underselling it, but they did not have to do very much to win this game. You've heard me for God knows how long saying the Magic probably need to play 44 or 48 minutes to have a chance to win. This is the kind of game where the Magic could get away playing with 40 minutes, 40 solid minutes, and be more than fine to win game. No offense to the Pistons. They are a much improved team. They are a better team. But the Magic are that kind of team. And if you talk to everyone within the Magic, if you talk to a lot of people, that confidence is the thing. In fact, I asked Pistons coach JP Bickerstaff in the pregame press conference, since he was the one coach in the league that has probably had to think more about the Magic than any coach in the league from last year, because he coached the Cleveland Cavaliers last year during the playoffs. I asked him, just from what he's seen from this team, what's different about them? To his eye, what did the playoffs do to this team? And he kind of said, they're playing with a lot of confidence. They're playing with that knowledge of going to the playoffs, of knowing what they need to do to win. And that confidence is everything. I asked Jalen Suggs a very similar question after the game. Magic won 111-100. You can see that on the rundown. I asked Jalen Suggs a very similar question after the game, saying, what does it mean that you guys were able to kind of win this game comfortably? Or, he volunteered that it felt like it didn't matter that they had jet lag from flying back from Los Angeles on Friday. It didn't matter that there were injuries, including one to Jalen Suggs. He had a sore left hamstring and left the game in the first half. None of that mattered. They knew they weren't losing this game. They knew that they would have to play terribly awful to lose this game. When the Magic needed to lock in and needed to pay attention, they were ready to do so. I asked Jalen Suggs after the game whether that's something this team would have done last year. If this is the kind of game the team would have had last year. And Jalen didn't want to compare last year to this year, but he did agree that this is a sign of the team's maturity. This is a confidence that the team has now that they may not have had last year. Look, we'll get to the box score. We'll talk about Franz Wagner's incredible game. I don't mean to keep ignoring it. We talked a lot about him on Friday's episode. The Magic were the better team, and it was abundantly clear. And it was really, the first half especially, was more about the Magic getting out of their own way, not turning the ball over, keeping the ball moving, defending without fouling, and collecting rebounds. It never felt like the Pistons had control of this game. And yeah, they went up 6-0 early, and the Magic were late on a few things and fouled and all that. But once Orlando kind of got its grips and took control of this game, it didn't matter if the Magic were up by 1, which they were early in the third quarter. They went on a 10-0 run right after that. It didn't matter if the Magic were up by 5, by 6, by 11, by 12, eventually by 20. It didn't matter. The Magic were winning this game. And like I said, a ho-hum November game against the Detroit Pistons. This is a no win for the Magic. You win, you're expected to win. You lose, you lost to the Detroit Pistons. We all remember that loss to Charlotte, right? And that's the loss from Charlotte last year, not the game on Monday. This is a game the Magic are expected to win, and a game the Magic know they can win. We will not think about this game very much, besides Franz Wagner scoring 30 points, getting 9 rebounds, and dishing out 8 assists, nearing his first triple-double. If he had played in the fourth quarter, he very well might have gotten it, but they didn't need him to play in the fourth quarter because the Magic took care of their business. They're going to have a lot of these games where the Magic simply take care of their business, and we're going to be stretching for something to take away. Well, here's something to take away then. The fact that the Magic could win this game this way, the fact that the Magic played like this, and yeah, looked a little jet lagged, yeah, dealt with an injury, yeah, dealt with their own inconsistency at times. Yeah, there's plenty of things to clean up. We're not going to pretend otherwise, but the Magic won the game. They won it comfortably. They took care of their business. And that is a maturity that this team needs. That is a maturity that you don't know you have until you do it. Look, Orlando held Detroit to 100 points, and a lot of that came because of a late game flurry. The Magic shut off the Pistons in the second half, 47 points in the second half. The Magic forced 17 turnovers and got 29 points off those turnovers. The Magic got 52 points in the paint. They got 19 fast break points. The Pistons committed a lot of mistakes, and the Magic got a bunch of turnovers, usually in bunches, and just pummeled Detroit over and over and over again. That's a big piece of this. We should be thinking about April. It's a long way away. There's a lot of basketball left to play. But we should be thinking, is this team ready for the playoffs? Is this team ready for April? Is this team a playoff ready team? And not just a playoff ready team, a team that will advance out of the first round. Look, Milwaukee's making their run. Not going to pretend otherwise. But the standings in the East feel like this is what they're going to be. And it feels like the Magic will be in the hunt for the 3 seed. I don't see the Magic or the Knicks going away. Even if Milwaukee makes a charge, even if Philadelphia makes a charge, Orlando, even if Miami makes a charge, I don't want to leave them out. Orlando's going to be in this fight. So that goal is going to be there. And along with getting home court advantage comes the expectation that, yeah, you win. And so you got to do the pieces to get there. And one of those pieces is taking care of games like this. One of those pieces is, like the Magic said during training camp, it's the middle of January. You're on a long road trip. Can you still get the win? The conditions were not as dire. The conditions were not as gutsy. Again, when you Magic win games that should be schedule losses, you remember them. Denver last year. You remember that game. This was not one of those games, although it definitely had a lot of little schedule loss potential. That first game, usually back from West Coast road trip, is usually pretty difficult. The Magic took care of their business. And with how Detroit played early, with the fact that they were down their best player, it would have been easy to let off the gas. It would have been easy to say, oh, we got this. We don't need to worry about this. It would have been easy to disrespect your opponent. But that's not what the Magic did. Yes, they weren't perfect. Yes, they struggled in some areas. Yes, there's a lot to clean up. But they showed the maturity and the poise to win and win comfortably. And to me, while we're not going to remember very much about this game, that says a lot about where they are. That tells me that, yes, they'll do more than survive Paolo Banchero's injury. They're going to thrive. They're going to get some big wins. They're going to be very competitive. They'll be able to make a push when Paolo gets back, but they can make a push now too, which they have. Obviously, they won 8 of their last 9 games. The Magic showed a lot of maturity. And it isn't something maybe you'd think about in a game like this, but it's something important nonetheless. Among the standouts and the highlights of this game, another solid showing from Tristan Silva. How Tristan Silva is taking on the challenge coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Skims. Look, none of us like to talk about underwear. Like, it's uncomfortable. It's awkward. If you're thinking about your underwear, you're probably doing something wrong, or you're probably wearing the wrong underwear. You want something that gives you, that just allows you to be. If you're thinking about your underwear, you're probably doing it wrong. And that's what Skims provides. It gives you underwear you don't have to think about, because it gives you a lot of freedom with protection or whatever you're looking for from underwear. I don't know what you're looking for from underwear. It's underwear. It's uncomfortable to talk about to begin with. I am someone who's worn boxers in pretty much my entire life. And I've always been skeptical of briefs. I don't necessarily have the body for it. But I've tried briefs lately, including Skims. And I can tell you, Skims are so comfortable. They make you feel confident in your body, among other things. And more importantly, they make you forget about underwear. You don't have to think about them. Skims has been, they sent us a few samples, not going to lie about that. But they were so comfortable. I am eager to buy more. So whether you're buying a cotton 5-inch boxer brief, or the stretch 5-inch boxer brief, or a 3-inch boxer brief, Skims has something to fit your style and fit your comfort. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA. Let them know we sent you after you place your order. Select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. It's Locked On Magic. And if you're looking for the perfect gifts for the whole family, Skims just launched their biggest holiday shop ever. Also available at skims.com/LockedOnNBA. Check it out today and stop thinking about underwear. Check it out at skims.com/LockedOnNBA. The NBA's rookie class this year hasn't exactly blown the doors open. Donovan Klingen's starting to do some nice things for Portland. Zachary Risacher had a really nice game for the Hawks, but not exactly the greatest rookie class of all time. In fact, the 2 early favorites for Rookie of the Year might very well be the 2 players drafted ahead of the Orlando Magic at 16 and 17, and Jared McCain of the Philadelphia 76ers and Dalton Knecht of the Los Angeles Lakers. 2 players that we talked a lot about during the draft process. 2 players that I really liked in the draft process. I'm surprised they're playing this well, but I'm not surprised they're finding success. Would have looked good in Magic uniform, but alas, weren't available. Not gonna lose any sleep over it. Magic ended up 3rd in a 4-way coin flip. Tristan Silva is not in that class. Let's make that very, very. He's in the rookie class. He's not in that class of players so far. The Magic have brought Tristan Silva along very, very slowly. They haven't needed him to be a dominant player. And yes, even though he's 23, even though he was a 4-year player in college, De Silva's needed some time to get his feet under him. But since joining the starting lineup, De Silva has had to find comfort, has had to find his base and find himself getting steady. And he's had to find his role within this team. And look, this is an already established team. He is not a point guard with the ball in his hands. He is not a straight up shooter like Dalton Connect is. It's a little bit different. In fact, De Silva's probably best value and attribute has been on defense. And so while I think we can all get obsessed with the scoring numbers, and yes, De Silva needs to continue improving as a scorer, which, look, he did well in this game with 8 points on 3 for 7 shooting, including 2 for 4 from 3, giving the Magic some necessary and important 3-point shooting. Also added 6 rebounds for good measure, I might add. De Silva's best value right now is in his understanding and fit within this defense. The Magic are not playing anybody, certainly not in the starting lineup, if they're not willing to defend. And De Silva is very willing to defend. Even if he needs to put on some NBA muscle, he is very willing to defend. In fact, that might be the best story that I heard from Saturday's game against the Pistons. A reporter, I believe it was Brett James of Orlando Magic HQ, asked Jamal Mosley before the game about Tristan De Silva's growth. And Jamal shared this great story, shared this fun story, that during the road trip, Tristan De Silva asked for the trust to switch onto James Harden, onto LeBron James, onto the best players the other team has to offer. He wanted to be part of the Magic switching packages. And while he probably got beaten a few times by those players, that alone showed the confidence that he has in himself. And he took that challenge on. Saturday night was a big test for Tristan. And I'm not talking about the scoring, which he scored against the Lakers. He's starting to score a little bit more, starting to look more comfortable offensively. But the Magic decided to use Tristan De Silva as the primary defender on Tobias Harris. Franz Wagner hung out with Tim Hardaway Jr., a little bit more of a shooter. Someone that wasn't going to challenge him as much so he could focus on the defensive end. If it were me, I would have had Franz on Tobias Harris because Tobias is the top scorer, more of a one-on-one guy, someone who's going to take the ball at him, and you want your best defender on those kinds of players. But the Magic tested De Silva. They gave De Silva that look. And yes, De Silva made mistakes. Fouled Tobias Harris for an and-one bucket on the very first play of the game, I believe. Had a couple like silly cheap fouls where he was just late. It happens. But overall, De Silva was important to this game to slowing down perhaps the Pistons' best shot of winning. Tobias Harris scored 8 points on 3 for 9 shooting. He was 2 for 3 from the foul line with just 5 rebounds, only 1 offensive rebound. Tristan De Silva deserves a lot of credit for that defense. Tristan De Silva did an excellent job bodying him up in the post, pushing him off his spot, and challenging Tobias's shots at the in the mid-range. This is why the Magic drafted De Silva. It's because he fits in everywhere and just wants to make the right basketball play. That's who Tristan is. That's who he is. And that's who the Magic drafted. It may not be the glamorous stuff. The Magic certainly would love to see him have a big scoring game to make a bunch of threes, but his 3-point shots come along. He's starting to look, he's not a shooter like Dalton Connect as a shooter. He is grown and developed as a shooter. He's adjusting to the 3-point line. He's adjusting to the NBA line. There's no doubt about it. But De Silva is someone who can take that step, who can give this team something on both ends of the floor, and who has grown into his role. I don't know if the Magic must play De Silva when Paolo comes back. And look, we're still a month away from Paolo coming back, probably. So we got a lot of time for him to develop and grow and figure this out. But you have to like what you've seen from him so far. It is not right to compare him to what McCain and Connect are doing, because even though they were drafted 2 picks ahead of him, they're on their own journey. They're on their own teams. Not to say that they wouldn't be doing what they're doing with the Magic, but that's neither here nor there. De Silva is doing exactly what the Magic want him to do. And he is eagerly taking on that challenge. He is eagerly doing that role, playing that role, performing at a high level. And that's all the Magic can ask for. He has continued to get better. I want to make this point very, very clear. Offensively, he has continued to get better. Defensively, he has great instincts as a help defender, especially as a low man, even though he needs to continue putting on muscle. He has come a very, very long way. And he's going to continue to get better as he gets more playing time, which he is getting plenty of right now. Let's wrap up today's show. We'll go through the box score, talk a little bit more about this game as the Magic defeat the Detroit Pistons 111-100. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Over at FanDuel, to get you ready for NFL Sunday, they've got odds on all of the games. You can check out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 5.5-point favorites at the New York Giants. The Miami Dolphins, 7.5-point favorites at home to the New England Patriots. I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars are off this week, so don't need to worry about that. But you get a jump start on Thanksgiving as well. The Dolphins, 3-point road dogs at the Green Bay Packers for Thanksgiving. If you're looking to get ready for MLS playoffs on Sunday, Orlando City favored to win at -190 over Atlanta United and advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. If the NBA is your speed, and of course it is, NBA Cup odds are here. East Group A winner is off the board. I can't tell you what the odds are for the East Group A winner, but the New York Knicks are no longer the favorite to win the NBA Cup at +600. The Celtics back on top at +500. The Orlando Magic now sitting at +1,300. Those odds have come down as it's become clear the Orlando Magic have a very good chance of advancing out of group play. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by Game Time. Like I said, Sunday's a big day. Orlando City at home at Inter & Co Stadium taking on Atlanta United. A win, and they'll be at home again for the Eastern Conference Finals and the MLS Cup playoffs. And if you want tickets to see the Lions play and try and match the Orlando Pride and win the trophy, you got to check out Game Time to get the best seats in the house. Game Time has so many great offers. Their Game Time picks curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Their all-in pricing feature allows you to toggle the feature on to show the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. And their seat views give you a digital panoramic view from where you'll be sitting when you buy those tickets, so you know exactly what the view is going to look like when you go to your event. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Let's run through the box score as the Orlando Magic defeat the Detroit Pistons 111-100. Like I said, there wasn't a lot to this game. Like, honestly, like the Magic shot pretty well, 46%, 12 for 39 from three. That percentage came down as the game went on. They were around 40% for much of the game. So a solid three-point shooting night. Like I said, I worry more about the raw number than the percentage. Detroit only made 13. They were 13 of 33. That was 39.4%. That's a good percentage. There's a little bit of weakness for the Magic, but if you're only giving up 13 threes and you're making 12, you're probably going to be okay. Again, I think the raw number is more important on that end. You don't want to give up too many threes, especially if you can't keep up. Magic were able to keep up in this game, so three-pointers were really not a factor. Magic missed a bunch that they should make, so did Detroit. So what are you going to do? But like, not a lot to this game. Like Orlando was kind of cruising. I felt like their offense at times was a lot more stagnant than we've seen. And I think some of that has to do with fatigue. Look, I know people hate this excuse. The Magic decided to wait overnight on Thursday. They stayed in Los Angeles, flew back Friday. Let alone trying to play a basketball game. I don't care how nice the plane is. Trying to play a basketball game cross-country trips do take a lot out of you. So again, and then they'll be back on playing Monday to Charlotte. So, it's a lot of travel right now. The Magic then go on the road, over Black Friday. They get one game at home Wednesday, then they go back on the road. So not a lot of time being settled right now for the Magic. So keep that in mind as we get deeper and deeper into this little stretch until the Magic get their nice little homestand when they get back from Philadelphia. And then, of course, we got the NBA Cup games coming up as well. But, not just the Magic weren't sharp, I would say, but they were good enough. They were good enough, long enough to really, put their grips in this game. Their defense was devastating. They were flying around the place. They were physical. They were getting steals and turnovers. This is Magic defense. They put a lot of pressure on you. As JB Bickerstaff said after the game, the Magic are really good at putting you in tight spaces. They want to squeeze you. They want to compress your space and really make you feel pressure because they feel they're really skilled at swiping and digging at the ball. And B, you try and make a pass out of all the arms that they have. They're going to get deflections. They're going to get steals. Orlando ended the game with 13 steals. Yeah, 13 steals. Oh, sorry. No, that's 13 turnovers. Yeah, 13 steals. Sorry, I'm reading my box score. The Magic ended with 13 steals. They forced 17 turnovers for 29 points. They had 19 fast break points. That is a formula for the Magic win. If the Magic are going to get 30 points off turnovers, they're going to win most nights because that makes their offense easier. When they're able to get easy offense like this, they are really tough to beat because their half-court defense is just so good. And if, their half-court offense is mediocre leaning toward bad. And some of that's just get more movement, get more action, just the guys playing off of each other. So, the movements aren't crisp. They aren't flowing naturally into each other, which I think is the next big thing. And again, I think generally Orlando's biggest problem in this game was there's just too much dribbling. Franz was just dribbling too much. They're trying to force the ball to Franz on the post. It took them a while to figure out the right way to get him going. But boy, when they got him going, Franz scored 12 of his 30 points in the first quarter. We finished with 30 points, 11 for 22 shooting, 4 for 9 from 3, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. Just, again, we're coming to expect games like this from Franz Wagner. And even though teams are starting to pressure him and double him a little bit more, especially in the half court when he runs ISOs, which he is not particularly good at, but I get why they're trying to run those. Franz is finding his way. Eventually he's going to crack the puzzle and he's going to go at a little scoring burst and a little scoring binge, and then you're done and you're toast. This stuff's becoming normal, and he almost had his first career triple double again. He didn't play in the fourth quarter in this game because the game just turned out to be a blowout. The bench just blew the game open in the fourth quarter, and the Magic didn't need to go back to him. So again, just a really good game from Franz. There's just nothing much to say. But the scoring distribution in this game was weird. Again, like I said, professional win, nothing crazy here. Mo Wagner off the bench with 18 points, 7 for 11 shooting, 7 rebounds. Just again, 5 assists as well. Mo really worked on his passing. He's gotten a lot better at that. But again, just does what Mo Wagner does. There's not really much to say. As Jamal Mosley joked after the game, he wakes up with 10 points. Literally just knows how to score around the basket. Anthony Black, 11 points, 3 for 8 shooting, 4 for 4 from the foul line, 1 for 3 from 3. 5 assists, did have 4 turnovers. Franz also had 4 turnovers. Turnovers were an issue in this game. Now you get 15 turnovers for 20 points, just sloppy, just again, stagnant offense. Guys trying to do a little too much at times, but they got themselves going. And AB was good at the end of the day, just did what he needed to do. No one else in double, only other player in double figures was Jet Howard with 10 points, a lot of that coming at the end of the game. But Tristan Silva, 8 points. Goga Batadze, 8 points, 3 blocks, just some crazy good blocks too, some good chase down blocks. The kind of blocks that really Goga's good at. Jonathan Isaac can do them too, but Goga was really solid in this. KCP, Kenny had 8 points, 3 for 6 shooting, but 1 for 4 from 3. Solid game from Kenny. He's strung together some solid offensive games again. Kenny got 2 of those 3 shots for breakaway layups, but you want about 10 to 12, maybe 14 points per game from Kenny. And then hopefully 2 for 5 from 3. That's kind of what you're aiming for. So he was on track for all that again. Didn't play in the fourth quarter. Didn't need him to. Jonathan Isaac had 7 points and 3 blocked shots, or 5 points and 3 blocked shots, 1 for 6 shooting. Gary Harris had 7 points on 2 for 3 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3. A really solid game from Gary Harris. The only other note to say is Jalen Suggs played only 9 minutes, 2 points, 1 for 3 shooting, left the game in the first half with a sore left hamstring. He will be, they'll check on him, see how he deals with treatment, see how he feels Sunday. His status for Monday's game, obviously very much up in the air. Like I said, not a lot in this game. The Magic took care of their business. And we're going to have games like that. The Magic need to win games like that. They need to take care of their business. We can sit around and complain about anything, but they won. They won comfortably. They won convincingly. They won without pressure. They won without question. They won. And that's what a professional win is. And look, they took care of their business, and we'll go on to the next, see if they can do it again against the Charlotte Hornets on Monday. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. Find me on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. And remember to subscribe to this podcast. You can subscribe to this podcast at Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey. Ultimately, you download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. As if that wasn't enough, you can also check out the Locked On Magic daily newsletter, the one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox Monday through Friday. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com or by scanning the QR code at the bottom of the screen if you're watching on YouTube. That's LockedOnDaily.com and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic newsletter. That's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. On our next episode of Locked On Magic, we'll talk about the big decision that's coming up for the Magic. We're going to get to the pros and cons of it. You can guess what it is. Goga Bitadze, Wendell Carter. As Wendell Carter nears his return, we'll get to that on our next episode of Locked On Magic. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.